I think my biggest advice
So I definitely would say my biggest piece of advice.
came back to practice.
It was so crazy, but I mean, not a lot of people know this, but
Hey everyone, Michelle here, cheerleading lifestyle coach. I am super excited to open up our panel podcast episodes. So the idea behind this is that I want to get together with some of our friends, maybe some people that are opening a gym or that have a really cool experience, and just get an insider's perspective about how the cheer world really works. So I'm super excited today. I have Kevin and Cash with us. Hello guys, how y'all doing?
hey, Michelle, good.
Good to see you.
How
What's
about
up,
you?
Cash?
Hello.
He said none.
Sorry, I heard Kevin talk. I was hearing Kevin talk, but
You're good.
hi, I'm good. How about you?
Good. Doing well. So what we're kind of talking about today, and we've went back and forth through our messages here or there, is kind of this idea of graduation. I know both of you are graduating, have graduated, some version of that. So we'll talk about, school and how that is balancing school, everything like that, and what this graduation process kind of looks like. So the first thing that I'd love to start with is y'all's experience. So Cash, can you tell us a little bit about like how you got into cheer in the first place?
Yeah, so back in 2018, I graduated high school. I went to Weber State. So like my first fall semester in college, I found out about cheer through them because at football games, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I never seen like guys stunt before. So it was just really interesting to me. Then I started going to their practices. Like literally at Weber State, they have like this balcony in this gym. So I would like go to their practices and like watch them from this balcony. And then the coach like came up to me in summer. She was like, "Have you ever thought about doing cheer?" Just had I was like, no." She's like, "You should try out." I was like, "Okay." So then I messaged Hunter from the team, and then he was like, "Yeah, you should come to our practice." Then he invited me to their practice. Um, and I just watched cheer from them basically. Like from that moment, I've just been into cheer, love cheerleading. That's kind of how I got into cheer.
Cool, awesome. So tell us about this transition because you didn't end up actually cheering at Weber, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so tell us about that transition. So you were at Weber, you're doing school. How long were you there? Where did you transfer
Yeah.
to, and what did that look like?
Yeah, so I was there for 1.5 years, maybe 2018, 2019. And then COVID happened. Um, so then when I didn't do cheer at Weber, or I didn't make the team for Weber, I found the all-star team called Utah Extreme Cheer. So that's how I kind of got more into the all-star world. I did that for like a year, maybe probably not even a year, probably like 6 months. Um, then I just stopped doing cheer because I didn't think it was for me. Decided to go back to All Star. um, Went back to the same team, stopped doing that team again, and I just decided to go back to school and focus on Salt Lake Community College. And then from Salt Lake Community College, I decided to go to Sam Houston. Um, the only thing I knew about Sam Houston is that they win against Weaver, so I didn't know anything else. I know Stephen Burgess. I was like, okay, should I try out for Sam Houston? He said no, and I still did it anyways. So I just ended up at Sam Houston. I didn't really know any other schools, but we were in Sam for cheer. Or now, like, yeah. So
Okay,
that's how I kind of got to Sam Houston.
cool. So did you end up going to Sam Houston because of cheer then? Is that what I understand?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Okay.
did. It was one of the best experiences I've had.
Okay, cool,
Definitely,
perfect. So
definitely an
we'll
experience.
an experience. We'll pause. We'll pin it right there. We'll talk about Sam specifically next. Kevin, let's hear your come up story. Where'd you come from?
Yeah, so originally I for my first for my when I originally went to college for my undergrad, I went to Western Michigan University, and I actually um I'm more of like a late bloomer when it comes to cheer. I got into it my sophomore year of college. I actually just got out of a relationship after my freshman year, and I started like hitting the gym and working out. And these group of girls just came up to me in like the student recs, like, "Hey, you're like really strong. You should come like join our team. We need like stronger dudes." And I'm just like, I didn't know what stunting was. I always thought cheer was just throwing palms and motion. Like I didn't really think anything of it. I just think of what's that one cheer movie, like that older
Bring it
uh
on.
yeah, but yeah, I just
Yeah.
think Bring It On, and I'm like, I have nothing else better to do because I'm just trying to like find myself, out of a relationship and whatever. And like I really remember walking into one of their practices one day, and I just see this guy just throw this girl up and just hold her with one hand, and I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. That looks so cool. And I just kind of fell in love with it. Just like more background, like Michigan in general is not really like that big of a cheer state. So the reason being is just you're not allowed to do high school and all star. You have to pick one, and there's a lot of high school rules when it comes to cheer. So it's like very held back. Like you can't do like a full down, you can't do toss stunts. Uh, you can't. There can't be guys in high school. Like it's not a thing. You can't compete. And they do rounds. It's not like no music, nothing like that. It's just facials, clapping. It's very like held back, and so like even like the colleges, it's not really like elite. Like a toss QP was considered elite for my team. Like it was very held back. So I didn't really like know what like real cheer was until when I was like finishing up school. Um, I met like Mitch Bud Long and Deshaun Clark, Brad Weber, and all them, and they were teaching me how to stun, and Connor Henry and Jovan, all them, like really great people. So really close with most of them. Um, and I got to a certain point where I still kept stunting. Um, did a little all star here and there in Michigan, like Ice Michigan, Stingrays, Elite Cheer. Think just to kind of like stay in the cheer world. But I got to a point where it's like, okay, and they convinced me like if you want to get better, go to the next level, you got to leave Michigan. And so I was actually while I was at Elite, our choreographer Ray also did Sam's choreography back in the day, and he was telling like, dude, like you need to go cheer in college. I was like, well, I don't know like, who's gonna take me. I suck. Like I'm not that great. And this is me thinking like, back handspring full ups, like having to press things up and like doing rewinds, like with like Michigan, like bases and back spots was like, I suck, man. This is not. Um, and he like knew the coach at Sam, and he reached out to her. She ended up reaching out to me, and I was supposed to actually go in 2020, but then COVID happened.
Mm.
And so I got pushed back here. So I ended up going in 21, and I got there, and I'm like looking at everyone. I'm like, wait, I've been throwing bases and back spots. This is like easy. It was just a whole different, like, it was just an eye-opening experience seeing how like all the other states are compared to like Michigan cheer, where like everyone's a flyer and there's not really, there's no structure. There's like co-eding is not like a real thing compared to going somewhere else where it's like, wow, we just do co-ed here. Like, and I was surrounded by amazing people, amazing talent. I was just, it just kind of pushed me to be better. And then after Sam, we had a little run. Well, it was 2 years. I actually was supposed to go to Moorhead, but things just didn't work out. And then next thing I know, I'm talking with Burgess and another buddy, Nemo. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be done with cheer, guys. I don't know. I don't really know where else to cheer because like at the same time I don't really want to do school again. I'm kind of over school. I already like got my degrees and everything. And the next thing I know, I have a phone call from James Speed. It's like, hey, if you have a degree, you don't need to. I guess you don't need to like do school. So I was like, it was a very interesting experience. I was like, I've never heard of that. I'm not sure if that's actually like supposed to be a real thing, but I ended up going to Louisville for a couple years, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was my
Cool.
experience.
Awesome. Yeah. Y'all both have an extensive experience for starting cheer presumably pretty late, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It
Yeah,
was
it's a
great.
weird I will say at Sam there was, most of the guys are like around my age or like somewhat close. But then going to Louisville, I was like one of like maybe four or five of like the older crowd. Everyone else is like true like college age. So it was a very, I think it just kind of depends on like program and know where you're at pretty much. But
Yeah.
I think normally though, yeah, definitely a little late.
And
Yes.
it's interesting. I think that's actually becoming more common. So, you know my story too, but like it's
Hmm.
funny that 2020 was the end of, or the disruption for both of you. It was the start for me.
Yeah.
Like I cheered when I was younger and stuff like that. I did undergrad at
Yeah.
my school, but we didn't compete or anything. 2020 is the year that I decided to go back for grad school and started cheering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was there being like 10 years older than everybody that I was cheering with.
Yeah, it's
And I
so
thought I was the
different.
old one, but it's becoming, I think, more common for
It's
people to
very
stay
common.
Yeah.
longer,
It's
right?
it's more common with majority like with guys that I've
Hmm.
seen.
Mhm.
But I have seen some of the girls though, that some of them have like mid late 20s or even early 30s too, but it's mostly common with the guys from what I've seen
Yeah.
so far.
Do we think that's like the low impact? Because a lot of the older guys are not tumbling anymore, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't
Right.
most of the older guys they're I mean, I will say from what I know at Weber, some of the older guys like they do tumble too. And I'm just
That's
Mhm.
like,
true. Brett's like, what, 32
yeah,
or something
Brett's
like
like
that?
what, 32? Like
Yeah. Good for you,
yeah,
dude.
but I think I mean I don't know him personally. I've met him a couple times, great guy, but I think he was a tumbler. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think he might have been a tumbler first and then learned
Yes.
stunting.
I think
I
Okay.
so.
stunted with him before he was a like stunter boy. Because I went to
Okay.
Weaver to visit a few times. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
so he came up the last like 4 or 5 years, just got stupid good. I was like, okay.
The Weaver effect,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I bumped into him at Daytona and I just went up to was like, dude, just coming from another older guy, like you thank you for like, doing what you do because you tell me like I can do this myself with my old age, but
Hmm.
can't do all the tumbling that you do. But it's inspiring seeing like older guys like do like the same level of stuff and not retire or quit early on or I don't know. It's cool seeing like the older generation still at it.
Still got it.
Yeah, Cash is
I
gonna
love
be you
it.
soon.
Hey.
Right. Hold on.
Take a little year off, year or two off, and I'll see you at whatever school's next, I guess.
No, no,
Right?
no, no.
You think that, you think that. So let's go back just a teeny bit. So I love the origin stories. Let's talk a little bit about this weird, like, guys in cheer thing, right? Now, both of you came from not cheer. So, outsider perspective looking in, was it just like an ignorance thing? Like you just hadn't really been exposed to it? Or what are the weird things about that, the assumptions that we make about guys being in cheer?
For me, I think it was more like my dad or my family just never really thought about guys just doing cheers. So like they were always like, okay, do football or do wrestling or do track. So then when I was finally able, I think my senior year of high school, I finally watched my first cheer video. I believe it was senior elite or it was TGLC. I generally don't know the team. I was just like, oh, if I ever did cheer, I would love to do that. Like that would be so cool. So I think it's kind of more like you just find out at a older age just by watching YouTube videos or even watching like Instagram videos now. Because my dad has been recently sending me videos of cheer videos. I'm like, I've already seen that, but like, like see, like he's getting interested now. Like he's asking me questions about cheer. So I think it's just more like getting exposed to it. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when you're younger, going to high school is not like a thing to be exposed to because it's not a male sport. Like that's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
But when you grow up, you're like, oh, I could draw up this girl. Like that's so cool. Like it's just getting more
Okay.
exposed to it, I guess.
And as you started getting into it, did you start to get more comfortable with that idea? Or were you like Kevin, where you just saw somebody throw it and you're like, fuck it, let's go?
Yeah, no, I got way more comfortable with the idea, and I was just kind of cool with it. It was just like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
Kevin, what was your experience?
I definitely think there wasn't really much exposure, at least in Michigan. I I grew up in like private school up until high school, and then I switched to a public schooling system after that. Um, but once I got to high school is when I actually saw, oh, we have a cheer team. But again, like the how cheer is in Michigan is like they didn't stunt at football games. They just did motions and signs, rallying. And so like I never really knew what stunting was. Um, I mean, it wasn't until really like I got to college, I was like, oh, well, I didn't know you could do that. Um, So I guess it's just I was never really exposed to it growing up. I didn't really know what it was. It was always just either like wrestling or um some seeing basketball, football, like the main sports that you normally see. But and I think that's just because it's just how Michigan is. Cheer's not super big. It's not very popular. Um, yeah, I just think it's just the kind of the exposure. Really, I was pretty late with that.
Yeah. And I love that your story about the girls coming up to you in the weight room because that's 100% how we get all dudes, right? We're like,
Yeah,
hey, you're big. Want to come backflip or throw people?
yeah,
It usually works.
It
So,
does.
yeah,
so let's talk a little bit about all-star versus school, particularly college, right? Because I do think a lot of people still try to do college cheer if they can. What is
yeah.
the like attraction to that? What do you feel like is the difference really between the two?
You want me to go big or you?
It doesn't matter.
Um, I would say I think for college, I think college is more for the. I guess I could go back to the guys. I feel like college is more for the guys that doesn't want to perform so much. And then if you want to like perform a lot, you want to do all star. So I think that's why if you love to perform and do both, you want to do all star and you can also do college at the same time. So I think that's the that's the way I see it though.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, I know recently All Stars had more level seven teams lately, more higher skill level, but I mean, when I look at All Star and I look at college cheer, I see college cheer as more like advanced when it comes to skills. Like you're not gonna really see people competing one arm rewinds or double ups or like those crazy stunts at on an All Star team. Um, I mean, what like a toss QP counts the same as a back dub technically in level seven. Like make sense.
Yeah,
Like gym time chrome, we lost to group stunts and we were doing Dioms and round off rewinds, and they did a group stunt toss lib. Like that makes I don't know, but I think what attracts more of like especially like the older guys is just I think it's because of that skill level. Really, they want to do more stuff. They want to train harder. Um, I think just kind of based on the environment you're in, like iron sharpens iron, as that saying. And I think that's why a lot of people do go to Weber because it's you have some of the best talent in the world going there, and that's what attracts some more talent. It's like, oh, the best of the best is there. Iron sharpens iron. Um, and like on Instagram or social media, you're mostly seeing Weber.
yeah,
Like their social media game is insane, um, and I think that's just what attracts the talent. Is just they show the skill level that people want to be at or want to work with. So I think definitely, and I agree. I think if you do want to focus on performing, showing out things like that, like yeah, definitely All Star has it's a little bit more faster paced for sure. There's the extra fluff in it. Um, but also, if you're out of eligibility, like there is that All Star option. You can
yeah.
still like stay in it. You know, that's what I would say.
And eligibility has also been extended, so that's a whole nother conversation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I totally know what you mean too. It does seem like college might be a little bit more like true co-ed, right?
Yeah.
mhm.
And then all star is sometimes like two mans or whatever the case is. So with that being said, like, is there? And you guys are both guys. You can totally be honest. Is there a little bit of an ego thing by like throwing a girl by yourself versus like in a group?
I would say yes, especially at Sam Houston. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I definitely I for me over the years I always thought like I'd always say like don't touch my stunt. Like when I got to Louisville, it was the spotters would always like catch my stunt with me and I was like don't touch my stunt, but they're so used to it like the way it is if a stunt falls, James blames the spotter first. Why did you let it fall? And it's um because they always have that they call it like the Navarro catch, like the catch to count let go, and it
Mm.
still counts as unassisted, which is wild to me. But we started we started doing it. Um I think it's you have those center boys that no, this don't touch my stunt. Like if it comes down, it's like let me do it. Grab it if it's falling, grab it, but no, it's my stunt. And then you have two mans they call it. I mean, it's just a different style of stunting. I would say I think majority of college is don't touch my stunt, and then you have some of those other smaller programs or just different programs that are more like I would say like tumble boy based, like, yeah, touch my stunt. All star, it doesn't even matter. It a two-man group stunt, single bay, it all counts the same.
Yeah, you're gonna hit the same score sheet.
Yeah, so like, oh yeah, we might as well just two-man the whole thing. Who cares? Like,
Great.
That's true. If the score sheet is going to support it, like, why not,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
And
yeah, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just
And
kind
we
of
can't overlook the fact that Daytona is probably a huge piece of why people want to go to college, right?
yeah,
yeah, Daytona and UCA, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I do see most of the older crowd doing NCA
Hmm.
versus UCA from what
Why
I've
do you think
noticed.
that is?
I think it's because of Daytona. To me, I view Daytona bigger than UCA national. I don't even know it's like yeah, I mean it's still like the big competitions like UCA and NCA, but I don't know. NCA is like it's at the end of the year. You have all year to prepare for it. UCA, you just have that semester. Um, and I feel like you do more in NCA. Like you have dance, you have jumps. It is a little bit faster pace in UCA. It's a different style.
Almost more
Um,
all star, right?
yes.
yeah,
Closer. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely closer to the All Star vibe, but
Are you
I don't
getting
know.
that
Like
collegiate
UCA,
stunt vibes?
yeah, definitely. Like UCA is fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy UCA. I would classify the type of style of stunting I do as more UCA styled. But I think that's just because like where I learned from and who've taught me, they're all UCA boys. Um, but it's just a different stunting style when it comes to NCA. Like everyone's very like quick, fast pace, just throw and go. UCA is more like control and placement, things like that. At least from what I've seen at like coaching styles at programs.
And UCA routines are always so clean and just like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
very visually, aesthetically,
Yes.
maybe not as fast paced, right? But visually appealing.
But very
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, did you compete with Michigan and were you guys UCA question mark?
Yeah, so I can't remember. It was either my second to last year or my last year, but we start with like competing for like we've never competed before, and I'll be honest, we had no business competing. We had no business. I think we were in the same division as like Kentucky and all of them. I don't even remember. We didn't even make it day two. We had no business. All of our stunts fell. We had no business being there. But I think that's what kind of like lit my fire though for like getting that first taste of competing. I was like, wow, this is cool. Cause like growing up, I've always like really enjoyed doing theater and acting and performing. And
Mm.
like when I got on that stage, like, whoa, this is like performing. This is really cool. Um, that's kind of what lit my fire really. And that's what I got into All Star after Western and yeah, I just like the competing aspect of it. I did game day, like Western was more of a game day school. Um, so I would say I didn't really go back to school for game day. Which is crazy to say because I have met people that have gone back to school to game day cheer,
Yeah,
which is
because they
not,
just enjoy it. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, I
It's
guess
like a
so.
thing you
Yeah.
have to do, but like.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about UCA? Because I don't know, Cash, have you been to UCA?
No, I'm not
Okay,
a
yeah.
UC.
So I've never been there. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience? What does it look like in comparison to NCA Daytona?
In all honesty, I compare UCA to All Star. It's at the same place at the ESPN Center. Um, it's literally just like you're going to Worlds. You go to the ESPN Center, you have the different buildings. You can go in like the little field grass to warm up. It's all inside versus Daytona, like you're outside on the band shell looking at that sun. Or they used to, if it rained, they used to have you go in the Ocean Center. They never pushed it back a day until the last few years. Because I remember my first time competing at Daytona, it was raining and we had to go in the Ocean Center. And before that, when I was at UCA, it was both days were inside, or supposed to be both days inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of, so we competed in the Ocean Center a couple times, and I kind of liked it because it was so similar to All Star. It was very predictable, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have a spring floor, but you know exactly what you're getting into with the lights and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Daytona's like, or like out on the band shell, excuse me, is like a
The
whole
band
different
shell is
experience, right?
that's a different vibe. It's a different, like when you're on the stage inside, you just see the lights and maybe the first row of people. Band shell, you see everyone. And it's, if you're not mentally prepared for that crowd when you first walk in, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you hit. Because I think walking on the band shell could make or break someone for sure. Like that walk on determines your routine and your performance for
Yeah.
sure.
Real.
And Cash, have you competed on the band shell as well?
I have not competed on the bench, so I only competed in the Ocean Center.
Okay, so now at this point, it's mostly intermediate is inside in the Ocean Center, and then
Hmm.
advanced is on the band shell. Okay, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about the comparison of those two, and maybe you guys can do your separate one. So, Cash, tell us what it's like to do inside the Ocean Center. What does that feel like?
Yeah, so honestly, inside it's kind of like if you ever been to like any regular competition. Like if you visit any regular competition, it's just like that. You go inside, you have your warm up mats, you have your two mats to full warm up. It's really no different. So if you competed at NCAA All Stars or like Worlds, I guess it's gonna be the same. Like generally gonna be the same. Last year was the first year that they actually had the stage in the Ocean Center though. So last year they actually had the stage. So we weren't the small co-ed when we went small co-ed intermediate, we weren't prepared for them to have a stage. Like we were telling all the rookies, like, okay, it's gonna be concrete, like be sure like it's gonna be concrete out there. So like make sure you guys are tumbling, keep tumbling. But then when we got there a stage. So we were like, oh, okay. So it kind of messed up something because we were like, oh, we don't we weren't prepared for it. And then this year when we went, it worked out better for us anyways. So yeah.
Would you say that having a stage is closer to being equivalent to having a spring floor, or is it pretty flat still?
A lot of people were saying that it was kind of similar, on like kind of similar to the Spring Four. It was still like dead, but it was kind of similar. I definitely think it helped their landings a little bit, like when they were tumbling because they were going a little bit higher. But yeah, I think it was still probably the same. I just don't tumble, so I don't know.
I got you, yeah. And that's one thing about the band shell that's kind of nice is the sun like makes all of the mats almost double in size. So it
Yeah.
almost feels like a spring floor, right?
I have heard that from tumblers for the band shell. When the
It's
sun's
nice,
on
you
it, I
like
have heard that. It's a little extra bouncy from the sun. I
glow.
have heard that.
So, Kevin, what was your experience on the band shell? What does that feel like?
Oh man, it's such a surreal experience because when you go on, you have the ocean to your left, you have the crowd right in front of you, and to your right you have the sloppy joes where the fish bowls are. um I don't know, just like going on, it's like walking on, it's you're in that little back room in the little mini castle, and you just hear everything. You hear the stage, you hear the music, and then as soon as you go around that corner to walk on, it just all hits you. It's so different than any other competition. And that's, I kind of wish UCA was similar. If they had an outside stage, that would be awesome. um but and most recently when I just competed, I like made sure to kind of like look at the ocean a little bit longer to the left, just because it's like, that's the end goal, is like, I want to go swimming. That's kind of like what it is. And I think UCA, they don't go in any water. They just get a medal, and they get to go around Disney World. Well, actually, I will say NCAA this year just started giving medals, which I'm
Yes.
kind of mad about, because the year we won at Sam, we didn't get a medal.
I do
But
have a medal.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's definitely I think it's a definitely surreal experience. It's so different than all the other cheer competitions.
Mhm. Absolutely. Okay, beautiful. So let's go back to Sam a little bit. So both of you both ended up at Sam Houston.
Mhm.
kind of by chance almost, it sounds like.
Yeah.
How was your experience there, and what did you like about it? Do you feel like everything went the way you wanted it to, or maybe not?
I let my big go first since he was there before me.
Lost connection.
Oh
Oh,
no.
I think he's glitching.
Uh-oh, no big.
All right, we'll let you go first, Cash, and then he'll hop in.
So yeah, for Sam Houston, I think Sam Houston honestly just saved my life. Like it helped me understand cheer. It helped me grew up way faster than I expected, and I needed it too, just because of one of my coach. And I always remember this. I had a phone call with my big, like I think before my senior year, like my senior year now. I was telling him about everything that Brian was doing to me, whatever, and he was just like, one thing I need you to do is like listen to Brian, like actually listen to him, and he's going to like help you out. And I took that advice. I listened to Brian.
Yeah, everyone
Brian,
knows Brian.
Brian is a tough person. If you ever cheer with him or coach you, you understand how that man is. Like he's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
um, but he prepares you in so many different ways. Like he prepares you throughout life. I this my first year when I went there, it went the way I expected it to, because me and my roommate, Hector, every day we would come home after practice, we'd be like, okay, we're winning nationals. Like we did, at this point, we were a large co-ed advance. Like I was already like, oh, we're winning nationals. Like we're beating Weaver. In my head, me and Hector we were already making routines in our rooms. Like we had shoes. We're like, okay, this is where Maddie's gonna be. This is where this person's gonna be. Like we already had it set that we were winning nationals. So then when the whole fall semester happened, we went small co-ed. We're like, okay, it's gonna be like a little pickup. We didn't really know if we were gonna win or not, but like still to this day, I already knew that we were winning. Like I said it from the moment I got there, we won, and it happened. We were small co-ed, so that was a pretty cool experience. My second year, a lot changed because a lot of my vets left. Um, so it was really just a rebuilding year. We really put everyone on the team. So like everyone that tried out, we put on the team. Like, yeah, there's no denying it. We put everyone on the team. So it was rough from the start. We didn't know what direction we were going. We didn't know if we were going to stay small co-ed advanced, go back large co-ed. But then we had too many boys that could stunt. So then they were like, okay, let's put all the boys on mat. So then they made small co-ed intermediate and small co-ed advanced. And then from there, it both teams, it just kind of was just like, we'll see where the year will go. Like it's kind of just like, let's just try it. If not, it doesn't work. It did not work in our favor. But I think my senior year, this year, we just took a whole different like switch. Like the vets, my class, my vets, and then some of the fourth year vets, we just like took a switch and we were just like, okay, no, this is how we're going to do things. Like we didn't know if we are going what our divisions were going to be, but we knew what how we wanted the year to start, and we went ahead and changed the whole program from there on out. So I think for my time at Sam, winning nationals this year too, I think it went better than I expected. Like I didn't think I was going to come out of Sam becoming a two-time national champion at all. Like that was never my end goal. Like I just wanted to cheer. I love cheer. I love doing everything about cheer, and I could go to school for it. So I think it just went better than I expected. I would never regret coming to Sam, like ever. Sam is like my favorite place I've ever been at.
That's awesome. All kind of on a whim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And then Kevin, you can kind of talk us through multiple colleges or whatever, but tell us about your experience in general.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had a little connection issue
No
earlier.
worries.
No, I definitely, like I was saying about like Western Michigan, it wasn't really like a competitive, like, program. It was more game day. But when I was at Sam, I actually didn't really enjoy my first year at Sam, to be honest with you. It was definitely it was very different experience. Like I went in, I tried to, take everything in. It was my first time being away from home, It was like a 22-hour drive. Luckily, one of my best friends from Michigan said he wanted to like come live in Texas with me, so we got to live together. Brandon, awesome dude. Um, so he was kind of like he was a really big support for me. Um, and actually a few months in, I actually like pulled my hamstring because I was still like lifting and stunting, but I was because I used to do powerlifting. And I just like overdid it and it just hurt my hamstring. So I was out for like maybe like a month or so. Um, and they put a guy in my spot pretty much. And so like once I like was I would say maybe like I just got cleared, but I was like I have to like go slow basically. The guy who was like filling in for me, I guess they do it differently there. Some people they just get replaced right away. Others are just like just fill in, take it easy. If you can get back in, you can get back in. But he ended up like tearing his ACL and everything. I was like, whoa, okay. So I had to like go back in a little bit sooner. Um, but I would say I didn't really like my first year as much just because I wasn't really used to the type of people. It was very like cutthroat, basically. Like,
Mm.
um, it took me a while to get used to. And then the coaching was actually the coach originally recruited me. Um, she quit like the first week I was there, pretty much. So we didn't really like have like a real coach. So Brian was like taking over. Um, and it was just I would say it was definitely an experience. I mean, it was my first time competing NCAA in band shell. And I would say like kind of like that summer afterwards, I was just kind of like, oh, maybe I want to go to a different school or, maybe this isn't for me. And I don't know. I remember during our Hell Week, we actually had some alumni come and there's one of the guys I was like talking with. He does like life coaching. Um, and so like I actually like kept in touch with him and we were talking and the same advice I was telling you, Cash, about listen to Brian, he will help you. He's actually the person who told me that same word. And I was exactly where you were. There is no shot, bro. There is no way I have to listen to Brian.
Yeah.
Um, but I took his advice and I like really thought about it most of the summer. And I was very transparent with like Brian and Ryan over the summers. Like I'll let you know if I'm gonna come back or not. I haven't really decided what I want to do yet. And I just remember, giving them a call. It's like, hey, I want to come back. I want to be a leader. I want to help shape this program, essentially. Um, because you know how some programs they do like captains and stuff. At Sam, it's you have your rookies and then you have your vets, and your vets are like the leaders. They all have a voice. So I figured, okay, if I'm gonna have a voice, I want to use it. And I was grinding hard that summer, and luckily I had people in Michigan that we started every single day. We would be in the gym till like 1, 2 a.m.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was definitely a conversation I needed with the alumni, and just kind of going into the second year, it was like some programs your second year you wouldn't have a voice, but well, thankfully people were listening. And first semester was going awesome, and sadly near the end of it, uh, it's the program. I'm not gonna say co-ed, but the program got in trouble for things that happened in the past from other teams, specifically when kind of like the hazing and stuff. So it just affected the whole program as a whole. And so essentially, when we found out that we weren't allowed to compete, it was a very so it was like a very devastating thing because most people they move across the country like to cheer at Sam, not to go to school at Sam. Um, and I don't know, it was definitely a very and they did it during like when we were going into winter break too. So it
It was
was
literally the day of first day of finals. I
yeah,
literally just got
it
back from my final, came
Ah.
back to practice.
was so crazy, but I mean, not a lot of people know this, but like there's a few people that do, but I'm one of the reasons why we were able to compete. I worked very closely with one of the alumni who was a lawyer, and he would do a lot of he's like ghost working essentially, and so I was kind of like the face for everything, going through meetings, um, working with the police department to like, okay, what hazing evidence do we have, making petitions, and I ended up finding a lot of well, they didn't have anything. There was no actual documentation related to anything hazing for the program in the last with like 7-10 years or whatever. So like, and by like Texas law, like if there's not a police report, you there's no hazing act. And then I got all 200 plus program athletes to all write the same email with their personal, like how this affected them mentally, then a copy of the police report, the documentation that says there are no incidents, to the administrator, because it was all due by Friday at 5 p.m. and I had everyone send it at 4:55 p.m. It was such a mess,
Oh,
but
airport.
um, and the guy actually, the administrator actually reached out to me and he was like, "So I heard this is something you've been running," and he was just like, I'll tell you right now that we're gonna reverse this. We're gonna." He didn't really give any public apology. School's not going to do that, but luckily we got the reverse. And then there's a lot of efforts, other people's social media and stuff, but there was a lot of like background stuff. And I mean, we had a lawsuit ready. We
Mm,
had one ready to go if needed, worst case scenario. Um, because if anything, at least like reimburse the tuition for these athletes, for everybody, if anything, because people don't come to Sam to go to school at Sam that are in the program. They come here to cheer. Like realist, let's be real. Like middle of town, middle of nowhere in Texas. You people are just there's no way. I'm sorry, like, being so real.
That's totally fine. I mean, that's so normal nowadays. So can we peek into that conversation a
mm.
little bit? So
Yeah,
why do we think it's a good thing or a bad thing or neutral, or like people do have to go to school when they cheer in college, right? Like it has to, obviously there was a small exception.
yeah,
But generally speaking, right, you have to be able to balance that. You have to be able to keep good, decent grades, keep a certain number of credits and stuff like that.
yeah.
So one, how is it balancing that? And then two, do we think it's good, bad, or neutral that people do potentially go to school for cheer?
Um, I would say as an older person, because not only was I doing school again, but I was also working full time with my career, and because of COVID, I guess like my field was able to be remote. So I was busy balancing like the school and working full time and doing cheer, which it's honestly really crazy looking back at it that I even did that. Um, but thankfully, like I always dreaded those early morning practices, but it allowed me to like have the rest of my day free. Like I would work right after practice and then take my little nap time. And if I want to go stun or work out or anything afterwards, like it, Sam made it a little easier. So I'm pretty thankful for those early morning practices. But and I would say I think because cheer isn't really classified as a sport or wasn't classified as a sport, it was really on like the only way you could do it is in school. Because like professionally, like when you're looking at those NFL cheer teams, they're just dance teams. Like
Yeah,
there might be a couple here or there that do some stunts, but most of them you're not allowed to do much because
yeah.
liability reasons. Like look at like for example, like the Lions, they have like a spirit team. They're not allowed to do anything past a hands lib or a hands cupie. But I mean, you have boys and girls on there that can do stunts. Like,
Hmm.
um,
I'm
I
totally
think that,
going to do an episode on pro cheerleading too, so I love that you're bringing this up.
and I think was it the Ravens? I think that have a
Mhm.
team too. But
And
yeah,
Blazers.
yeah, but yeah, but I mean, I don't know how it is with your that team, but like I'm sure you guys are limited on like what you were allowed to do. I would assume. I don't know.
It was pretty unregulated, yeah. But with that
Oh,
being
so,
said, it's
okay,
on basketball floor, and so
yeah,
they were more about cleanliness than they were about
yeah,
difficulty. I learned a lot more going back to college and cheering
for
than
sure.
I did when I was with them, just because the safety piece,
Yeah.
like you're talking about, right? But we can still
Oh,
do elites and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
and then what is it? The Utah Jazz team. You see them doing back dubs on the basketball court, no
Right.
spotters. So I'm like, that is insane. But I mean, that's props to that. Like they're all talented people, but it's like
Yeah.
hardwood floor without a spotter is insane to me. But I mean, I don't know. But I definitely think, if for people who want to do cheer, like really the main option is college cheer. If you want to be at a certain level, you're not gonna find it. You're barely gonna find it that level in all star, to be honest with you. Um, it's just not common.
Yeah. And like you said, certain number of years of eligibility, you do still
Yeah.
have to go to school, so there
Hmm.
are some limitations around there. I wonder if that makes it even more like prestigious almost, right? Because
I
there's that.
I there's actually a story of why eligibility is a thing, or you're only allowed to do five. It's because back in the day, and this is kind of I'm trying to remember his last name, but it was a guy named Tony, and also Mitch Budlong, Brad Weaver, like all these really old head Kentucky heads, like they would just go to different schools, like, hey, we need you to compete, and they'll pick them up. And you have these guys that competing like 10 years in a row. And I think that's just kind of like varsity, like kind of like putting it in like, okay, we need to stop this. We need other teams to be able to win. This just doesn't really seem fair for like, having like 30-plus-year-olds competing against 18-year-old. Like, so I think that's actually when they like added on, like you have 5 years. And then with COVID, some people were blessed to have
Seven.
7, which is man. But I mean, I still have 3 technically,
I think
Yeah.
I do
but and I'm just
too.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
But
yeah. Cash, what do you think? Is people going to school for cheer, switching schools all the time? Like, what does that look like, feel like to you?
Um, I think people do things that will help better assist them in the future. So I feel like if you want to switch multiple schools to go to different programs just to cheer, you should be able to do that. I think as long at the end of the day, you're already going to school, you might as well just finish to get the degree. Like wherever school that you're at, you might as well just finish. And that just in case, even though you already have like a set career in cheer, you also have a backup plan too. Like it's just like oh well, I have this degree, I could just go in and do it for fun if I
Now, we
wanted.
should probably acknowledge that some people don't actually end up with a degree, though, right?
That is
yeah,
also very
Or like
true.
transfer
yeah.
credit issues and stuff like
But
that.
then, but then they also still have that knowledge of the classes that they went to too. So like it does help them, or even with just simple connections, even if they don't finish with the degree. So I think like if you want to cheer at different programs or transfer to multiple schools, go ahead. Like you're having so many different connections, so you might as well.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start wrapping up. I've got two more questions.
Yeah.
As we're transitioning to like this graduation piece, let's talk about some things like you were just talking about, Cash, things that you're getting from cheer, even though they may not, so like networking opportunities and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So Kevin, we'll go for you first. What are some things that you feel like you've learned throughout this cheer process that you can take into real life?
Um, I def so there are some things that I've learned at from Sam, and then there's some things that I've learned at Louisville, and they might sound contradictory, but it kind of depends on which one you want to use. So at Sam, a lot of it was, I think having those early morning practices is not easy. It's really not easy. So I think it kind of prepares you to like doing that extra mile, working hard, being ready for anything. Like when I was at Sam, when we were going like showcases, we had like God, like 11, 12 showcases within like 2 weeks.
Whew.
Sometimes we'd be driving 3, 4 hours, getting out of the car, doing a showcase, hopping in the car, drive another 2 hours, do another showcase. And just, and Brian was like, if you can't do this elite stunts right, like on cue, like without having to stretch or warm your body up, you can't do the stunts. You don't have them. Um, I guess just kind of like being ready, like what life like hits you. But then at Louisville, a lot of it is just kind of you got to figure how to do things on your own, and it's either you have it or you don't. Um, it wasn't really as I want to say structured, at least from my experience. But I will say the people who have cheered at Louisville before me, they talk about a whole different program. And I'm not really sure like what happened or what, but I'm not the only one that thinks this. But it's kind of more of a you got to figure it out on your own, essentially. You're kind of on your own. But I think that's just kind of like it pushes you to be, what's the word? Like you have to be more self-motivated, like on your own. You can't have people like telling you what to do and things like that. So at Sam, it was more like you got to do this, you got to do this, go do this, do that. It's just having you being ready at all times. Versus at Louisville, it's just like you're kind of just standing around there, like, okay, maybe I should do this. Like you have to really like be a self-starter, essentially. Um, I think those two things really prepare you for life. And I know other programs they have like similar things or they have their own ways, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, those were the two things that I took from those programs.
Awesome. Cash, what about you?
Um, yeah, kind of what Kevin said. Sam is very, if you don't take what Brian's saying to you, you're not gonna have, you're not, your time at Sam is not gonna look as promising as other people, I would say. I feel like Brian gives you the opportunity, he gives you so many advices. And if you just take one of them and you just run with it, it's gonna take you so many miles. But if you just stay in the same stagnant spot, he's not going to push you anymore. Like it's kind of like Kevin, like he's gonna just make you self-started like yourself. He's gonna make you go through it by yourself, but he's gonna give you advices. And I think Sam definitely helped me one work well with other people, different backgrounds. Because a lot of people at STEM also needs a job to survive. Like I know one of the rookie boys, he's from like 30 minutes away, but like he couldn't come to STEM if he didn't have like a job. Like he had to find a place to stay. He was supposed to live in the dorms, but he couldn't just because it was too expensive for him. So he literally had to find a job to stay in a house and like make some things up. So I think it taught me to one live by myself, know how to survive in the real world without my parents because I am from Utah. But also just being able to just communicate with other people as well, just meeting different people. I loved it. So I
Yeah.
think that's one thing I took away from Sam and being on time. And being on time and signing every single documentation that needs to be
Oh,
signed.
that part. That
I,
part.
I have learned to sign every signature and
Yeah,
every
get
documentation,
everything in writing.
everything in writing. That's one
Everything
thing
in
I have
writing.
to learn.
I love
Everything
that.
is in writing.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, I think one of the things, just kind of where you're talking about as well, Cash, that I had to learn through my second college career for cheer is me versus team, because I was so driven the first couple of years that I was like only thinking about me, admittedly so. So at some point you realize it has to be about the team too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool, excellent. So let's talk. This is going to be kind of our last subject, closing up. So now that you're both graduating again, or at least being done with school, Kevin, and then Cash, you've got one semester left, but you're basically done.
Yes.
What does it look like next? And then we'll kind of go into like advice for other people who are maybe coming up to this point in their journey. So Kevin, we'll go with you as well first.
Yeah, so I definitely think, I mean, like I was saying before, like I was doing it a little differently where I was doing the schooling again, the cheering, but also working full time. Um, I mean, if you're able to do it that way, it's I mean, you're still working on your career. You don't have to like wait a while, but it's not easy. I mean, if you have the opportunity to do it, I think you should do it because I think you can grow at a different level as a person if you're doing all of that because time management is crazy. Um, but even if you're not working, I definitely think, trying to find, at the end of the day, cheer is cheer. Cheer isn't life. I know I used to be such a diehard saying cheer is life. All I know is cheer, but that I'm actually like, phasing out of the college cheer right now. It's like, I'm not really stunting as much So I'm like, okay, well, I need to find a new hobby or something. So I definitely would say my biggest piece of advice is trying to find other hobbies and passions earlier. So that way you're not just kind of sitting around like waiting for something or trying to figure out something. It's like have other hobbies, even if you don't have to do them all the time, but just because just know like college cheer is going to end. Like whether you use all 5 years or if you age out or you don't want to do it anymore, like try to find something, because at the end of the day we do cheer because like it makes us happy. We get that fulfillment, that joy. It don't have all your eggs in one basket is what I'm gonna say. Otherwise, you're not really gonna enjoy life after cheer as much.
And that moment when you're ready to give it up, oh, it's
Yeah,
so hard, so
because
hard.
once it's
Yes.
once it's done, like you don't know when the last time you're gonna do a stunt is. You don't.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, Cash. What does graduation look like for you, and any advice for somebody getting there?
Yeah, so I graduate in the fall semester. Right now it's looking like I'm going to stay in Huntsville until my lease is up, but I'm debating if I want to go to the Air Force right after college or move to Colorado just because it's closer to my mom in Utah, or just move to a new state, which I'm not too sure yet. Okay, I'm just kind of taking left state one by one, just just taking it day by day, honestly, just trying to enjoy each moment I have. Um, I think my biggest advice if people are wanting to do college cheer, always said this, and I've said this to the rookie boys now that they're vets. I said, make sure that you always, like Kevin said, you always have a hobby and always join different organizations if you want to do college cheer as well. Because I met so many friends, made so many different connections. I didn't want to be around my teammates all the time, so I made my other friends in my other organizations, which I think helped me. I think I would take that and give that to advice to so many people going into college cheer because you never know. Like he said, you never know when's the last time you're going to not do cheer anymore. But you still have someone else, an organization that can also lift you up in the back end if you do care about school or things like that. That's my biggest advice into cheer and in life. Just take the opportunity, especially taking the opportunity, just the risk moving away from Utah, not knowing what I was going to do in Texas, um, just taking the risk and just moving to a different state is going to be 100% worth it in the end. That's it.
For
Awesome.
sure.
I love it. Yeah. So what I'm hearing a lot of is like, enjoy it in the moment. We understand that this is a limited time, and then just kind of preparing for the future, making sure that we have options and that we
Mhm.
have other interests, hopefully, or
Yeah, yeah, and
that we're open to other
I
interests.
definitely think something that would help people figure out those other options too, and just something I've just recently learned myself in the last year or so. Um, leave all the cheer BS in the gym. Like, don't take things so personal and carry it on outside of the gym when you're hanging out with people or like, because sometimes you're gonna butt heads with your teammates in the gym and practice, and then all of a sudden, the team's hanging out and like, oh, F that guy, or what did he say at the gym? Or like, he doesn't care. It's just cheer guy. Like, just leave, and you can do that in the real world too. Like, leave the work stuff at work. Don't bring it into the house, into the family, the friends. Just if they ask, you can talk about it, but learn to separate it early on because I think that will really help figure out those options because you're not as stressed. You don't have to only think about cheer. Leave it all in the gym. When you're outside of the gym, you're not an athlete.
And that's why it's important to join organizations and different days and to have different friends because your teammates do be stressing you out. They do be
It's
stressing
when
you
when
out.
your trainer at the school is also your therapist.
Absolutely.
Shout out to trainer Kevin at Louisville. His name is also Kevin.
All right, I love it. Beautiful. So that was all of the questions that I had. Do either of you have anything else you want to add before we finish up?
Good.
I mean, just like I said, enjoy the moment and separate it if you can. There's more to cheer. Just remember that it's more than cheer.
And thank
Which
you.
is so
And
hard
thank
when
you
you're
so
in it.
much,
I
Michelle.
totally. I appreciate both of you being on here. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I think that you
Yeah.
provided a lot of really good information for people. So I
No,
appreciate
thanks
both
for
of you.
having us.
Yeah, of course.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Yeah.